We Have Concerns is only made possible because of generous donations from our patrons. If you want to be one of those, if you want to help make the show possible and also get extra stuff like bonus episodes, monthly hangouts, other cool stuff, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/wehaveconcerns.
Like, who are these people, and why don't they see it in themselves?
I don't know. That's a good
It's so strange. Like, you would think if they were so brilliant.
Yeah, they would be a little self-aware at least. Yeah.
Like, what is going on there? Anyway, this is We Have Concerns. Hi, Jeff Cannata.
Hi, Anthony Carboni.
Hello, concerned citizens.
I want to talk about chairs.
Yeah.
And moving chairs around.
I'm not getting new chairs.
Can we please?
No.
They literally break underneath me.
Underneath you and you only.
Yeah, well, so?
It shows me
a chair should not break underneath me.
These are great stools. I will not have you denigrate these stools. Look at what happens to your posture when you sit in the stool.
Destroys my posture.
No, you're sitting up straight.
I leave every time with a bad neck.
When we had chairs, you slouched much more.
Also, I fall to the ground repeatedly.
What do you know about chairs is what I'm saying.
Well, here's a study. This was sent to us by a friend of the show, Jeff Engelstein, who is a renowned board game designer.
Oh, which board games?
Many board games, including...
which would I know?
He designed Space Cadets, a really fun roll and move game. He just did the board game based on The Expanse, the TV show The Expanse.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. Anyway, he sent us this story, and it is a study that was done in China that aims to determine how polite people are based on the traditions they've grown up in. So there's been a lot of studies that compare East versus West as far as different cultural traditions.
Yeah.
But this is a little more granular in the sense that it's talking about grains. You'll get that joke in a second. But it's also granular in the sense it's
Nothing
talking about...
better than a pre-punchline.
Oh, so good.
You know
you guys
what I
will
mean?
get that in retrospect. It'll be wonderful.
That's why everybody loved Arrested Development Season 4 more than any other season. You put all the punchlines up front.
Yeah.
And then explain
and then
the joke later.
Way later.
Yeah.
This is about different regions in China. So the idea here is the northern part of China traditionally grew wheat and millet.
Okay.
And the southern part of China traditionally farmed paddy rice.
Okay.
And the way in which you do those things is very, very different.
Right. Rice paddies are a lot of farmers in one area.
Yeah, that have to cooperate.
Yeah.
You have to share resources. You have to be social. Their complete way of life is very, very different than the wheat farmers of the north, who tend to be more isolated, more independent.
Okay.
So the idea here is, did these traditions continue into modern day, and can you measure a difference in how people of those regions treat one another based on how their culture was formed by its
right,
farming.
Right. And there are a lot of things about this about different cultures, right? Like America is cowboy culture, right? Like we're loud, we're like we're garrulous, we're very smiley, touchy-feely, like that's how Americans are seen, right?
Right.
So the idea is how did these traditions turn us into the people we are today?
Yeah, and I think this is interesting because it's not just country to country, it is within one country and it's regions, right?
Yeah.
So how much intermingling, how much differentiation can you still measure?
Gotcha.
So how they set about doing this is pretty interesting. They observed people in Starbucks.
Sure. We all do.
The only way to measure anything in modern culture.
Starbucks, good coffee, good people, good times, clean bathrooms.
Yeah. Starbucks. It's the only place where science can really live and thrive these days. Is
because of all the bacteria.
Yes. And the homeless.
Yeah, because of the Petri dish that is a Starbucks.
Yeah.
I've never once seen them clean a milk wand. Let's move on.
So 2 stages to this study. The first was they simply just watched people. They just went into a whole bunch of Starbucks in China, in different regions of China, and they looked and they said, how many people are sitting together and how many people are sitting by themselves? How many solo patrons compared to how many grouped patrons? And is that different between these different regions?
Now, that is interesting to me because I feel like in addition to figuring out whether that means people are more social in each area, there's a lot of background stuff too. Like, so Were these both in large metropolitan areas where people are more likely to go by, get a quick coffee, and have to sit down by themselves for 5 minutes, right? Like in New York, you're going to, like in the middle of New York City, you're going to get more solo Starbucks customers than you would in like the suburbs.
Well, there's a lot of detail in this study, and I encourage people to read the whole thing. We'll link it in our show notes for this episode. There's a lot of detail about that because they go into trying to head off all of those
So they thought of all these things.
And there's a lot of different regionalities. They did Hong Kong. They did some more suburban areas.
Now, Hong Kong is very interesting to me too because it's got to be at this point an equal British influence as well.
Well, they also tried to determine whether people were foreign or from that region. And they talk about their methodology with that. It was mostly from observing. They didn't like ask people, but they tried to overhear what languages people were speaking.
Sure.
And so they tried to...
Science is mostly a gut feeling.
It really is. And science is about your gut feeling and excluding foreigners.
Yeah.
That's what science really is.
Man, I'll tell you what. If it wasn't true, we wouldn't have the spot on science of phrenology.
Yeah, so they tried to exclude foreigners from the study and only deal with people that seem to be actually from that region.
Yeah, and I'm not just talking about foreigners in Hong Kong either. I'm talking about Hong Kong being under British rule for a couple hundred years,
right?
Which means even locals in Hong Kong, people born and raised there, would have different customs. But they're counting.
They did Beijing, they did Shanghai, they did a whole bunch of different.
I get it. I don't want to hold it up anymore.
Shenyang, Guangzhou,
sure,
all the bunch of places I can't pronounce.
Yeah, go through them all.
I'm gonna butcher them all. So,
what did they find?
Well, they observed the people sitting. This is stage one, and there was a marked difference between the north and south regions. There were more people that tended to sit grouped together in the areas where traditionally they grew rice. Now, this changed over time of day. There tend to be more solo people in the morning than any other time, and so that's kind of stuff you would expect,
right?
And honestly, the difference, and this is the big part of this study that I'm interested to get your opinion on, the difference is about 5%.
But out of a sample size of how many?
Thousands. They had about 8,000 people that they observed.
I think it's okay. So, yeah, all right. So I think it's interesting because...
Sorry, it's closer to 9,000.
Okay.
It's about 8,964 people.
Okay. So I think because it is different regions of a general overall culture, I don't know. There's part of me that's like, well, 5% is not super significant, but it is significant, right? Especially when you're looking for minor differences between regionalities.
And the interesting thing too is the chart is directly linear, a straight line from north to south.
That's
the farther south it goes, the more people sit together.
It's weird though, because you said it's a mostly observational thing. And so you have to wonder about people's own expectation and confirmation bias and stuff. And I'm sure that they write in the study about how they mitigated that, but it's tough to entirely mitigate it, but I think 5% is significant. I think that's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. And they go down through like self-employed people, population density, age and gender. Women were more likely to be sitting alone than men. It was a lot of granular detail in the study that's interesting. But as you pick it apart,
who's the most likely to sit alone?
A man or a woman, you mean?
Yeah, like what age? Like it's a woman, and then like what age? Like this is all very interesting to me.
Yeah. So men made up 50% of the people, 50.6% of the people sitting alone in the wheat region, and 52% in 0.4% in the rice region.
Okay.
Thus, gender did not seem to be able to explain differences between regions.
Oh, okay.
So
gender doesn't really make a difference. Does age make a difference?
The finding was that those younger districts were no more likely to have people sitting alone than older districts.
So it's entirely geographic.
Entirely geographic. That's the difference is made up.
That's wild to me.
Yeah.
That's what, because I would imagine, I don't know. Like, because I'm thinking to myself about gender and age, and I would be like, well, who would be the most likely to sit alone? And then nobody sticks out, but my gut tells me that like, maybe older men would sit alone more.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I feel like the people that I see in a Starbucks sitting alone are almost entirely working.
Yeah.
And they talk about that. They talk about how They talk about weekdays versus weekends and how people go and open up laptops and, that's their office or whatever. So that's all taken into account. And still this trend, and it's kind of minor. I mean, it's about a little over 5%, but it's significant, right? So that brings us to study 2. Mm-hmm. The second study they did was they went into Starbucks again.
Yeah.
And they set up chairs. They moved chairs into walkways and they moved them into a position where you could squeeze through there or you could move them out of the way.
Can you imagine being like just the fucking barista working? Because I've been a barista at a Starbucks and people like come in and will always try to bend the physical environment of the Starbucks to their will. And it's your job to stop them.
Hey,
like people pulling like 5 to 10 chairs around one tiny table, or they're just like, I'm going to fucking push these couches together so I have a footrest. Or like there was a dude at the Starbucks in Park Slope, Brooklyn when I worked there who would literally wheel in an iMac, not a laptop. He would bring in an iMac, the fucking lampshade iMac, put it on the fucking table and plug into the outlet. And there was just like, it was like, there's nothing in the rules that say a dog can't play basketball. This motherfucker was like, I'm allowed to use the outlet and I'm allowed to use the Wi-Fi.
Hey buddy,
I bought a coffee.
I appreciate you coming in here every day.
Yeah, thanks.
And here's your latte.
Thank you.
Is that
a cotton gin? Yeah, it is.
Okay, you're gonna.
I have a spinning Jenny, and then I have a loom, and I'm just making. Etsy?
Oh sure.
Yeah, I'm setting up a textile store on Etsy.
Oh my goodness.
You may get some of my mail. Actually, I've registered myself as a corporation.
There's a whole stack of stuff. It just says.
Thank you for holding that.
Yeah,
that's wonderful.
Are you Kyle?
I am Kyle.
Well, that is embarrassing because I've been writing
Kyle from Fruit of My Loom. That's me.
I've been writing Kylo on your cups this whole time.
I'm also a big Star Wars fan.
I'm really embarrassed.
I mostly knit and crochet Star Wars themed clothing for Etsy.
Well, that sounds delightful.
You might get some cease and desist from Lucasfilm lawyers mailed to me here too.
That explains a lot.
I want you to return those to sender. But no, people would try to like immediately bend the entire environment of a Starbucks to them and their workday. So I am very, and like my whole job, or maybe not my whole job, but I made it my whole job because these people annoyed me, is I would totally be the fucking chair police. I'd just be like, you don't need 7 chairs around that table, Andy. They're not even all here.
You're not the chair police.
Your friends never show up all at once anyway.
Sometimes they do.
You can't just put one article of clothing on every fucking chair.
I'm saving it.
There was a guy named Andy who did it. His name was Andy, and I'm calling you out.
Oh, shit.
There was also a guy who would like load a bunch of porn onto his PSP and like just look at weird porn on his PSP. Like slumped down in a chair.
Yeah.
In the Starbucks. And I would just be like, dude, I'm coming over to you. I would it got to the point where I would look at him and he'd just be like, and like Barney Rubble, where there would just be like smoke in the outline of him.
What drink goes best with PSP porn?
It's the green tea frappuccino.
Something frothy.
Yeah. It was like the only like to a weird white guy into strange like fetish porn on his PSP. The green tea frappuccino felt Asian to him, I think.
All right, so. This is not that. This study is they moved chairs into the walkway. So
I'm just saying I would have kicked those scientists out of the fucking Starbucks.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure there was some sort of agreement. Yeah. You don't just have scientists coming in and moving your chairs every day.
I'm not so sure, but go on.
I'm sure they didn't tell somebody. There's one employee who's like, something weird's going on.
Yeah, these fucking guys moving the chairs.
Oh, you weren't at the meeting last week. There's going to be guys moving chairs.
I don't think that's enough of an explanation for me.
Yeah, well, that's all we got at the meeting. They put the chairs in the walkway so that there was room you could squeeze by, or you could push the chairs back. And they wanted to measure how many people did each of those two things because they figured the more individualistic people, the more self-centered people, push the chair. Fuck you. Push the chair.
Yeah.
Fuck you that this chair's here. I'm walking here.
That's interesting. So bending the environment to you rather than bending yourself to the environment.
Yeah. Or do you squeezy? Are you a squeezy? Are you like, it's my bad, I got a squeezy?
That's interesting to me though, because there are also differences in the two types of farming where like a rice paddy is much more terraforming. And even though it's a much more social thing, it's much more bending the environment to your will.
Sure, but the theory is that you're more considerate of what other people need and therefore don't put your needs ahead of theirs.
Gotcha.
So you are much more willing to conform to their environment.
An individualistic person
exactly.
will change the Starbucks to fit their environment.
And again,
all the porn on the PSP.
Exactly. Again, lots of granular detail about how they tried to focus this in and make it as scientific as possible. And again, the same kind of 5 to 10% difference based on regionality. Rice people, more considerate. Scoochers, more, my bad. Sorry, I'm not going to touch the chairs. I'm sure somebody put them there for a reason.
Yep.
And the people who did wheat, the more individualistic people, fuck you, moving the chairs. These chairs don't belong here.
Which one are you?
Boy, I'd love to. I think if I answered that, I would answer the kind of person I would want to be, which is I would want to be considerate of others. But I feel like in the moment, if I was unaware that I was being watched, I might move the chairs.
Oh, You're
going to move those chairs.
I move chairs. I move tables. I'm asking people.
You're bringing the loom.
Are you using all those chairs? No, all of them? When is your friend showing up? Because my friend is walking through the door.
Your friend?
Can I have that chair?
But I need this chair.
When? 30 minutes from now?
Maybe.
We'll be done. Oh, you got to think fourth dimensionally. That's the kind of person I am. Yeah. I don't know if that means I'm more individualistic. It just means I'm ruder.
Well, yeah. You're thinking about your needs first.
Well, I'm not taking all those chairs from me, Jeff.
You're taking all those chairs for your friends.
I'm taking half the chairs.
So you're the hero of your friends.
Because I like to set up a pyramid of chairs in the Starbucks, so when people walk in, their eye is immediately drawn to me, like a forced perspective thing.
You seem so tall.
Greetings, it is I, Lord Starbucks.
Well, that has nothing to do with your...
This coffee is garbage. So saith the Lord. Bring me more of this garbage coffee. Bring me a green tea frappuccino that I may enjoy my hentai.
Sir, I'm going to need you to take down the pyramid of chairs and stop looking at your PSP.
You're going to need me to do that?
I'm going to need you to stop.
Because I'm not gonna.
Oh, man.
There's nothing in the rules that say I can't have 2 pyramids of chairs, one for my iMac and one for me.
That's the same thing that dog basketball player said last week.
Yeah, so okay. And this mapped up geographically as well.
Pretty solidly consistent with the previous study. Like both of them came to pretty much the same. It said people in wheat areas were about 3 times more likely to move the chair than people in rice areas.
Huh.
So that's even more intense.
See, here's the thing. Now I want to go even farther back and I want to be like, is the entire way that these groups of people farm wheat versus rice, was that what caused them to be more social versus less social? Or did less social people develop less social techniques for farming?
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like chicken and egg situation.
I'm sure there's a lot to be learned about, their economic state and the geology of what was more likely to grow in that region. All that stuff we're not even touching on. But there is a tidbit that I'm just noticing now. Because you brought up the idea of did the employees know about it? There is an interesting tidbit here. It said employees were much more likely to move the chair. So I guess they didn't tell the employees.
I didn't think so.
They just came in and moved the chairs and they're like, fuck, these employees keep doing it.
A bunch of scientists just looks like another group of fucking dicks setting up shop in the middle of the Starbucks.
What are those dudes with all those dudes with white coats that keep coming in here and moving our chairs? Fuck those guys.
Fuck that guy. That guy fucking wheeled in like some sort of 1970s reel-to-reel computer.
And he's carrying a clipboard and he just stands in the corner awkwardly.
There's nothing in the rules that say I can't have my weird UNIVAC-looking ass computer.
Buddy.
He's right.
He is right.
He's right, but I don't have to give him the code to the bathroom. I do actually have to give him the code to the bathroom. That is in the rules.
The weird thing is...
They've got us at every turn.
They figured out the code to the bathroom, the scientists.
Yeah, they ran it through their fucking weird reel-to-reel computer. I'll tell you what, though. I'm not cleaning the milk wand before I make their drink, but that's no different
But you
than
never
usual.
clean the milk wand.
I've never once cleaned the milk wand.
So this is interesting, right?
Yeah.
I think this is an unusual study that comes up with some pretty fascinating
Well, I think
results.
we all assume, like we know, we have our assumptions. Oh, you're from here. That must mean you're more likely to be like this. Even within the United States, different regions, you're like, oh, you're from this town in this state, in this area of the United States. I know you.
Yeah.
I know what you're going to like.
Right.
And I think we kind of, to a certain extent, we want to be like, but that's kind of stereotypical. But there is something to it, right? Culture is who you're surrounded by and where you grow up. So it's fascinating to see how much of it comes from the world around us.
I encourage people to read this whole thing. It's really interesting.
I encourage people to skim it and draw their own conclusions.
I mean, that's what we do.
Yeah.
I'm sure I missed many things. They call it the chair trap, which is delightful. The fact that they call it that.
Underwhelming. You know what I mean? If you name something the chair trap.
Yeah, it should probably do more damage.
Yeah. I feel like we did an episode about the chair trap. That one that electrocuted and fell apart.
Also, I think you have a chair trap in this very room all the time for me.
No. Once again, you don't know how to sit on a stool. I've used your stool before and I didn't fall off.
You didn't fall for the chair trap. The chair trap was for me.
But
I fell for it.
We did a fucking you're thinking this is like a Princess Bride situation where like both of them have iocane powder?
Yeah. I clearly can't sit in front of the chair in front of me.
Yeah. Yeah. I do have Sicilian family.
You've been
so that makes sense.
For months, you've been sitting in different chairs to build up an immunity to chair traps.
Chair traps. What do y'all think about this? Do you believe that where you grew up kind of influenced who you are?
Yeah. Do we pass along these cultural markers? I can't think that we don't. I think that it is absolutely the case that the kinds of people that did the kinds of things in your area led to the ways in which you were raised.
Yeah,
right?
Let us know on Twitter. I'm at @Carboni.
I'm at Jeff Cannata.
You can hashtag those chair trap. Hey, also buy shit from us.
Yeah,
that's fucking buy shit.
That's
from
our
us.
clothing trap.
I don't know.
Anthony has been going into Starbucks with his loom and his cotton gin for months in order to make all the shit you can buy from us.
Yeah, I mean, each one of those shirts is hand woven by me. I mean, really check it out. I put a lot of love into each one.
Yeah.
All of this is true. wehaveconcerns.com/store. The true part is that you need to buy shit from us.
Yeah.
We need that money.